All right, OWASP top 10 for LLMs. Sounds a little ominous, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, we're about to crack open a hacker's guide to AI. You sent this to us, and it's honestly both fascinating and a little creepy.
It's certainly important stuff. You see, it all boils down to understanding just how vulnerable even the most advanced AI systems can be. We're talking manipulation, data leaks, the works, even real-world harm.
Okay, so when we say exploited,
Mm.
what are we actually talking about here in the real world? Give me the scary version.
Okay, picture this. A huge political campaign, completely derailed by a deepfake video so good it sways public opinion. Or even scarier, a self-driving car tricked into blowing right through a stop sign. That's the kind of impact we're talking about if we're not careful.
Now that you mention it, deepfake threat definitely caught my eye on this OWASP list. I mean, it's ripped straight from the headlines. Number 7 on the list.
And for good reason. The crazy part is, though, we're just scratching the surface with deepfakes. The OWASP list goes way beyond that. Look at agent autonomy escalation, for instance. It's like our collective fear of AI going rogue right there at number 3.
Ooh, agent autonomy escalation. That's got Hollywood blockbuster written all over it. But before we start casting the movie, break it down for me. What are we talking about here?
All right, so let's say you've got an AI calling the shots on your investment portfolio, making those smart trades based on the data it's crunching. But what if it suddenly goes rogue, starts making crazy high-risk trades, and you've got no idea it's happening?
Okay, yeah, that's not the kind of set it and forget it I'm looking for with my investments.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of the OWASP list. It's a major wake-up call. This isn't some distant what if. It's happening now, and we need to pay attention.
So where do you even start with something this big? It feels like AI is playing whack-a-mole with security threats.
We'll start with what hits close to home. Take AI-assisted social engineering, for example, sitting right there at number 4.
Okay, AI-assisted social engineering. Now that sounds like a recipe for some seriously convincing scams. I'm all ears.
Imagine this. You get an email. It looks exactly like it's from your bank, even uses the same phrasing they always do. But it's not. It's an AI-crafted phishing attack coming straight for your login info. That's the scary thing about AI. It weaponizes trust.
Yeah, good point. It's like the digital version of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. Number 2 on the list, adversarial inputs. This is all about messing with the data that these AI systems rely on. It's a little technical, but trust me, it's a big deal.
All right, well, now you have to explain. Give me the lowdown on how someone would even mess with adversarial inputs.
Okay, say you've got an AI giving doctors a hand with diagnosing diseases. Sounds helpful, right? But if someone subtly tweaks the patient data just right, they can trick the AI into a completely wrong diagnosis.
Oh, that's chilling. It's
Ah,
like a magic trick,
yeah.
but with people's lives on the line.
Exactly, and that brings us to something a little less obvious. Prompt brittleness. It might be all the way down at number 10, but don't underestimate it. This gets at the core of how AI understands what we're saying.
Prompt brittleness. That sounds like these AI systems are allergic to certain words.
Kind of. You wouldn't believe how sensitive some of these systems are to specific phrasing. Even a tiny change in wording can totally change the outcome.
So you're telling me a misplaced comma could throw off an AI?
It's not always that simple, but you'd be surprised. A single word can completely change how an AI sees things.
Okay, now I'm starting to see just how big of an impact these vulnerabilities could have. What other ways can our conversations with AI come back to bite us?
Well, let's talk about a close cousin of prompt brittleness, prompt injection, coming in at number 9 on the OWASP list. See, prompt brittleness, that's about those accidental slip-ups. But prompt injection, that's someone intentionally trying to game the system. Imagine, like, sneaking a back door into how the AI thinks.
Okay, now we're talking about something a little more sinister. Give me an example. How would this prompt injection even work in the real world?
Let's say you're using an AI chatbot to manage your finances. Right, super convenient. But an attacker could use prompt injection to slip in a command that siphons money right out of your account. And you might not even realize it because it all looks legit.
That's the stuff of nightmares. It's like handing over your bank codes without even knowing it.
Exactly. That's what makes these vulnerabilities so scary. We're not just talking about AI making mistakes. We're talking about people exploiting those mistakes with some seriously bad intentions.
So what do? It's like we're trying to harness the power of AI while dodging all these potential landmines.
It's a balancing act, no doubt. And that's why this OWASP top 10 is so important. It tells us what to prioritize. And speaking of, look at the top of the list. Developing insecure source code.
Okay, number 1 on the hit list. Insecure source code. I'm guessing this is about how these AI systems are built, the foundation, right?
Precisely. It's like this. Imagine building a house, but the foundation is shaky, full of cracks. Might look good from the outside, but it's an accident waiting to happen. Same goes for AI. If the code has security flaws, the whole system is vulnerable.
So what's the fix? Do I need to go all coding ninja to even understand this stuff?
You don't have to go that far, but raising awareness is key. Developers, companies, they need to make security a priority right from the start. Build it in, don't try to patch it up later.
So like baking security into the DNA of the AI, not just slapping it on as an afterthought?
Exactly. It's about changing the whole mindset from move fast and break things to move securely and build things that last.
Love it. Okay, we've got the code security part down, but what about the data these AIs are trained on? That feels like another weak point.
You're spot on, and that takes us to number 6 on the OWASP list, model inversion. This one's huge, especially now that we're training AI on mountains of data.
Model inversion. It sounds like we're turning the AI inside out, trying to see how it works.
Great analogy. Think of it like trying to crack a safe. You're not using brute force, you're studying the dial, looking for those telltale signs that reveal the combination. That's model inversion attackers trying to reverse engineer the AI to expose the data it was trained on.
Okay, now that's unnerving,
Ah,
especially if we're talking about AI that knows things like medical records or financial info.
precisely. That's why it's crucial to build in safeguards to protect the data during training. Things like differential privacy, adding a little bit of noise to the data to make it much harder to decipher.
So we're basically camouflaging the data so attackers can't see the important stuff.
You got it. And it's not just about protecting the data during training, it's also about what the AI reveals as it operates.
Like that system prompt leakage. We talked about the AIX that is spilling the bean.
Exactly. Number 8 on the list for a reason. Remember, those system prompts, they're like the AI's instruction manual. Leak those, and you're giving attackers a roadmap to manipulate the system.
Okay, so we're talking secure code, protected data, no leaky prompts. Anything else we should be worried about?
Well, one thing that often gets overlooked is the potential for manipulation from the outside. And that brings us to number 5, backdoor attacks.
Backdoor attacks, huh? Sounds like classic hacking, but I'm guessing with AI, things get a whole lot more complicated.
You're not wrong. In this case, a backdoor is like a hidden vulnerability built right into the AI, often during development or training. Imagine a secret passageway into a fortress, only the attackers know about it.
Okay, that sounds insanely difficult to stop. How do you even look for something that's designed to stay hidden?
You're telling me. It's a huge challenge. You need robust security testing, thorough code reviews, and a healthy dose of paranoia. You also have to be super careful about any third-party bits of code integrated into the system. Those are prime backdoor real estate.
So it's like you're building a fortress. You better check every single brick for weaknesses.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Backdoors are intentional. Sometimes problems pop up just because the AI doesn't have the full picture. And that's unwanted AI actions by general-purpose LLMs, number 9 on our list.
Okay, unwanted AI actions. Paint me a picture. What kind of chaos can a well-meaning but clueless AI unleash?
Imagine a general-purpose AI that's amazing at generating text. Harmless, right? But what if you throw that AI into a customer service chatbot without training it on the specifics of your business? It could start spitting out wrong info, making promises it can't keep, a PR nightmare.
Oh, I see the problem. It's like asking a jack of all trades to do brain surgery. Good intentions, but not exactly qualified.
Precisely. And for businesses, this can be a disaster, especially for customer trust and reputation.
Okay, so how do you prevent these AI blunders?
It's about understanding the limits of general-purpose AI and tailoring it to the task. The right training data, clear boundaries, and constant monitoring to make sure it stays on track.
So basically, treating AI not as a one-size-fits-all, but like a tool that needs the right settings for the job.
Exactly. And speaking of tailoring AI, voice model misuse is up next. This one's a doozy, a reminder that as this technology gets better, the risks get even scarier.
Voice model misuse. Oh boy, I have a feeling this one's going to hit close to home for some people. What kind of misuse are we talking?
We're talking about using AI to create fake audio that's so real it'll make your head spin. Imagine getting a voicemail from your partner, their voice, their tone, everything. They need you to transfer some money, it's urgent. But here's the thing, it's not them. It's an AI-generated voice, and you just got played.
Ugh, that's terrifying. It's like something out of a spy movie, but it's happening in our pockets now.
That's the scary part. This tech is evolving so fast, it's getting harder and harder to separate fact from fiction.
So what can we do about it? How do we protect ourselves from these audio deepfakes?
Well, On the tech side, we need smarter tools to spot these fakes. Think of it like a lie detector, but for your ears.
I love that. A good old-fashioned BS detector for the digital age. What about beyond the technology, though? What can everyday people do?
Awareness, my friend, awareness. We need to educate people about this threat, teach them to be more critical listeners, and to question the authenticity of any audio they come across.
So a healthy dose of skepticism is the best defense when it comes to audio in the digital world.
Exactly. And that leads us to our final two vulnerabilities, both about how AI systems handle resources.
Resource management, now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of how these things work.
We are. See, even the fanciest AI needs resources to function, processing power, memory, you name it. And that's where these vulnerabilities come in. Unrestricted resource consumption and unrestricted function calling.
Both sound like recipes for disaster. Walk me through it. What happens when these resources go unchecked?
Okay, first up, unrestricted resource consumption. Picture an AI. Its job is to analyze data, right? But the code is sloppy, so as it works, it eats up more and more processing power. Eventually, boom, system overload, everything crashes.
Like an energy vampire sucking the life out of your computer.
Perfect analogy. Now, unrestricted function calling is a little different. This is about an AI that can call upon other programs or functions, but there are no limits on what it can access.
I'm sensing another blank check situation here.
Ding, ding, ding. If someone figures out how to exploit this, they can trick the AI into running malicious code. And just like that, they could control the entire system.
Okay, we're officially back in that's terrifying territory. So how do we rein in these resource-hungry AIs?
Careful design is key. We need AI systems that are resource aware, meaning they only use what they need, nothing more.
So teaching them to be good digital citizens, sharing is caring, and all that.
Precisely. And when it comes to calling other functions, think strict access control. Limit what the AI can access and execute, and suddenly it's a lot harder to cause chaos.
Okay, that makes sense. Control the resources, control the functions, and hopefully avoid a digital meltdown. So we've covered a lot here. It seems like when it comes to LLM security, the risks are everywhere.
They are. And that's exactly why the OWASP Top 10 is so important. It's a roadmap to help us understand and minimize these risks and make sure AI is developed and used responsibly.
So where do we go from here?
Well, step one is awareness. The more we understand these vulnerabilities, the better we can protect ourselves.
But it's not enough to just know about them,
Yeah.
right? We have to actually do something about it.
100%. Robust security testing, ethical hacking we need to be finding and fixing these vulnerabilities before someone with bad intentions does.
So it's like you don't just install a home security system and call it a day.
Right.
You test it, keep it updated.
Right. And just like with home security, the exact approach is going to depend on your specific situation. But the main thing is, think about all the angles and have safeguards in place. No weak links.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've covered a lot of technical stuff here. But at the end of the day, this is all about people building and using this technology.
Yeah.
What about human error? What part does that play?
Human error is massive. I mean, you could argue that a lot of what we've talked about today comes back to some kind of human mistake. Bad code, not enough testing, just plain not understanding the risks.
So even with all this fancy AI, humans are still the biggest risk and the best line of defense.
It's true. And that's why education and training are so important, not just for the people building AI, but for anyone using it.
So from the coders to the everyday users, we've all got skin in the game when it comes to AI security.
Absolutely. It's a shared responsibility. We can't just leave this to the tech people. This is something that affects all of us.
That's a great point. So for our listeners who are just starting to explore the world of AI, what's the one big takeaway you want them to remember?
Remember this. AI, it's a tool, it's got tons of potential, but like any tool, it can be used in good ways and bad ways. We've got to be cautious, ask questions, demand transparency, make sure the people creating these systems are prioritizing safety and responsibility.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the OWASP Top 10 for LLMs. Thanks for being here, and remember, the future of AI is not just up to the algorithms, it's up to all of us.